Okay, what are some of the best investment books for beginners in 2020? Now, I'm going to suggest that when it comes to investing, you don't just read pure investing books, but you also read about personal finance and indeed behavioral finance. Now, what do I mean by that? Let's say you've got investor one who's getting 12% per year, but they're investing $300 a month. Investor two is only getting 8% per year, but is investing $2,000 a month, right? And investor two is investing for longer than investor one. Of course, investor one's going to make more money investor two is going to make more money than investor one. So when it comes to investing, it's important to look at it in a holistic way. It isn't just your returns. It's things like your personal finance behavior. It's also things like your emotions, right? Because you can be a great investor, but you know what? If you panic when markets are down, that's going to undo all your good work. I can remember Warren Buffett's secretary. She was asked what makes him great. And you know what she said? She didn't say his knowledge. She didn't say his age or experience even. She said he can control his emotions. So actually reading investment books that are connected also to emotions is a good idea. So I'll give you a few examples of that. One book I would definitely recommend is Your Money and Your Brain. So this book looks at how your brain can actually react quite irrationally to money, even people you wouldn't expect to, like lawyers. So for example, the book gives an example of a Nobel Prize winner in portfolio theory who, guess what? He didn't follow his own portfolio theory. And people asked him, aren't you a hypocrite? Why aren't you following your own portfolio theory? But he admitted that basically because of emotional reasons, he had too many bonds in his portfolio because he was afraid of market volatility, but he knew, rationally speaking, he shouldn't actually be afraid of market volatility. So that book basically explains why merely having knowledge in investing isn't enough, and it gives some strategies for how to deal with emotions. I would also look at books like The Millionaire Next Door that looks at things like spending habits, and that most millionaire portfolios are not built by high income people. A lot of the people with $1 million plus portfolios are middle income or upper middle income, like an engineer making 75 grand a year, 80 grand a year, or a teacher making 50 grand a year. These kind of people can often have very big portfolios, and by the same token, there could be people with a lot of money in terms of income who never invest. So I'd also read The Millionaire Next Door. In terms of pure investing books for beginners, I'd read something like The Lazy Guide to Investing, Coffee House Investor, and there's a link below, and you can see below a lot of the books I've suggested. But what I would do is I would start with 3 books. One on investing, one on personal finance, like The Millionaire Next Door, that covers like spending habits and so on, and also a behavioral finance book that looks at how your mind and how your psychology is affected by things like loss and return. So something like Your Brain and Your Money. Or indeed, there's a book below which I've suggested which talks about the madness of crowds. It's from Charles Mackay, and it's not an investment book per se, but 1 or 2 chapters deal with how we react to when everyone thinks a certain way, and that becomes like a trend. So if you do that and you read all of those books, it puts you in a great position to be good with your money. And I hope the video was useful.